council of the village of Manan of July the 6th, 2020, 7:30 p.m. at the Manan Community Center. So it's called to order, and for prayer we have Deputy Mayor Sturgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's pray. Lord, we're thankful that we live in a nation where we have choice, Lord God, and who represents us. And Lord God, we pray as representatives, like Solomon of old, we pray for wisdom to lead the people. We pray, Lord God, that you have your hands upon us. We ask in Jesus' wonderful name, amen.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are still waiting for summer to arrive. The season seemed to be a month behind. We had a few good days by the looks of the large number of people walking on our beaches. The Village Council awards two bursaries each year of $2,000 each to a student entering university and a student entering college. Julian James was Julian Jones was awarded the university bursary, and Matthew Swenson to the community college. These students were great volunteers in our community. Congratulations to both of you. The Manan 5 started the summer ski season on June the 22nd. This was a welcome sight because of the passengers' restrictions on the adventure. Hopefully this will be our first council meeting live streaming, which would not have happened without the fine work of Crave Technologies and the fiber as far as the community center. Great people, we appreciate it. Now let's not be complacent with COVID-19. We have been very lucky so far, and remember social distancing, 6 feet or 2 meters, and please wear a mask where required. Remember other people and stay safe. COVID-19 is not over yet. The council has another resignation on the agenda for tonight. That brings the number of resignations to 4. Now with only 5 councilors and the mayor, we have enough for a meeting tonight, so we must make all efforts to attend meetings. When the council term was extended over the regular term, some councilors had already made up their minds to not run. Serving on council requires a lot of time, some very rewarding moments, and some discouraging times. So when a councilor hears a thank you, it makes this work all worthwhile. Thank you. Number 4 is a disclosure of conflict of interest. No disclosures. Adoption of the minutes of June the 8th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor, I move the adoption of the minutes of June the 8th, 2020.
You heard the motion by Councilor Cheney. Have a seconder?
I'll second Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda. Number 7. We have an addition for the general operating for Brunswick Engineering, $5,031.25. Airport expansion application.
I'll move, Mr. Mayor, for those to be added to the agenda.
Heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question?
Where will we put that on the agenda?
31.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is the RCMP report, and we have Constable Kelsey Roberts with us tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Corporal McCann's off the island this week, so he's not able to make it. He sends his apologies that he's not here. Our police report for June 2020. We had 44 total complaints to the detachment. I'll just go through a summary here. We had 4 assault complaints, 1 distributed intimate image without consent, 1 criminal or obstruct enjoyment of property, 1 harassing communications, 1 breach of peace, 3 fail to comply breaches, and 2 frauds equal less than $5,000. Also, those were all criminal code matters. Other complaints were false alarms, abandoned 911. We had 4. There were 4 assistants to department agencies, 1 animal calls, 2 Fire Prevention Act, 4 items lost and found, 1 Coroner's Act, 1 Child Welfare Family Assistance, 2 Missing Person Request to Locate, 1 Mental Health Act, 3 complaints related to COVID-19 Health Act, 2 traffic violations, 1 traffic collision, and another fail to stop or remain, which I believe that's involved in traffic collision. And there was no POPAs reported. The reporting procedures a different format this month, so there's no reporting here for any provincial tickets and POPAs.
Sounds like you had a busy month.
It was a little busy. There was a few calls.
Any questions for Constable Roberts? Well, no questions, you're lucky. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
All business is live streaming of council meetings. CAO McPherson.
Yes, good evening. This was supposed to be a 3-phase program. First was to design the equipment we need and purchase them, purchase the equipment. So Bill has done those 2. Equipment is here, and with Garrett today they set it up, and if it works well here, his position will move down to the control room, and with the cameraman or person, I guess it is nowadays, will be able to live stream the meeting from here on in. This is shakedown tonight, and hopefully it works very well. If it does, that would be the end of this exercise.
Any
And
questions?
it's on budget too, well.
Wasn't even my question, but okay.
Any questions for Rob?
So it's still being recorded for CHCO as well?
Also
Excellent,
recorded.
great.
I
Okay.
just want to say thank you. I think it was a really quick turnaround to do
Yeah,
this,
it was.
and based on the response we had from our live streaming, the Zoom meetings, hopefully this will be found useful too. So, good work.
Any other comments? Well, we'll move to the 10-minute open session. So we'll go to open letter from Kenny Dean. Open letter to the village, its councilors and mayor. With regard to the disaster CDC interview provided by our mayor, I'd like to point out that his comments do not reflect everyone's opinion. Frankly, the mayor was way out of line, making any such unwelcome comments. Personal views, particularly while in public office, should kept for the dinner table at home, not broadcasted across the nation. There are a few facts that I'd like to point out for everyone's consideration. Manan is not a country unto itself. At times it feels like we operate by our own set of laws, but the last time I checked, we're still part of the province of New Brunswick. In case of pandemics or other crises, the provinces, not villages, have the ability to restrict travel. That is, Canadians who have constitutional rights to move about freely. To the best of my knowledge, mayors do not yield such restriction powers for obvious reasons. Non-residents in New Brunswick pay nearly double property tax for the privilege of paying double taxes. Non-residents gets absolutely nothing in return. If the people are not welcome here in New Brunswick, property tax should be refunded. When gyms were closed, the government forced the business to refund or cancel dues. So I'd be interested to know the rationale for not refunding taxes for at least a period of time we don't want people here. The ferry we all enjoy to the mainland is anything but self-sustaining. Have we forgotten that we are dependent on the province of New Brunswick? In other words, the entire population of New Brunswick for subsidies to operate the ferry. In exchange for those subsidies, we tell them we don't want them using our ferry. Attitudes like that are going to backfire on us. Maybe the village of Black Harbor doesn't enjoy several boatloads of people parading through the village on a daily basis and want to shut their village off to non-residents. That would work well for everyone who has been traveling to and from the mainland since the pandemic started. Apparently, islanders are immune and only tourists and those from outside our enclave are capable of catching the virus. New Brunswick is still not a have-not province. The last time I checked, this province has roughly $2 billion in provincial transfer payments from Ontario and other provinces annually. Without it, we would have to go without hospitals, schools, and other things we take for granted. The list also likely included ferry, which perhaps would suit those well that don't want anyone coming here. Clearly, the message to everyone is spend your money, but stay the hell away. Send your money, but stay the hell away. Government should be there to support and foster business, not destroy it. Keeping people safe from pandemics is obviously important. That's why the World Health Organization exits and why Canada has a chief public health officer and the province of New Brunswick has a similar counterpart. They have provided guidelines for us to follow, which seemingly are with nearly zero cases in New Brunswick has worked well for us. Let the healthcare professionals guide us and do their job. Protecting people from infectious diseases outside the mandate of the mayor should, however, be mandated at all levels of government, including the village, to ensure that all businesses survive this pandemic. As opposed to rising hardships, those businesses depend on a short summer to earn their living. If and when the fishery falls on harder times, I'm willing to bet that Manan will be happy to have tourists as a means of income, and maybe even a mayor that is open to tourism. That's assuming we haven't already discouraged them from coming. While I'm sure many will disagree with my stance, the proceeding was just a few of the thoughts that ran through my head after hearing and reading about the unfortunate interview Mayor Green provided CBC. It is really unfortunate that the backpedaling and damage control the village is trying to do now is most likely only going to add fuel to the fire and reiterate that we'd rather sit here and wait for gobs of money to miraculously fall from the sky and provide us all that we desire. It is the business that provides the lifeblood of the economy, not the village of Manan. Regrettably, the damage has already been done. An open and severe apology seems more appropriate than claiming the mayor was misunderstood by everyone. If this were the United States or any other jurisdiction, class action lawsuits would be getting filed the day against the village, what will be obviously result in the loss of income to many island business. Think about it. Yours truly, Kenny Dean. I got here before the water shut. The only thing I'd like to add there, my only comment was, I have friends on the mainland, and if they ask me to go come to Manan, I would advise them not to. But Manan depends on tourism this summer from the 3 maritime provinces. I had one woman call me, tell me what a great interview it was. I had a daughter call me, tell me what a lousy job I did. So that all goes with, not everything goes right for you. So you gotta take the bad with the good. So, does anybody want to comment on that?
Just the second point there, Mr. Mayor, non-resident New Brunswickers pay nearly double property taxes. Everybody pays, even if you're a member of Manan, if you have a second piece of property, you pay that extra tax every, so. Basically, you get credit for your home, and that's about it.
But that double tax, that double part doesn't come to the village.
No, it does not. It goes to the province. It's $1.50. It's much more than what we charge, so.
Number 10.2 is thank you letter to to be sent to Robert Moses for service on council. Does somebody want to make a motion to that, or?
No, I thought it was the letter, it's already been sent.
Oh, it's already gone, okay. New business, council resignation of Councilor Markey. Well, Markey talked about not running in this election. And he changed his mind and he said he was going to. And, when I heard about his resignation, I went and talked to him and just said, stay until you find out the result. And no, I'm going right now. And I said, well, that's entirely up to you, but it seems that there was, in all of those letters, there was something that didn't go the council's way. So, we need a motion to accept Councilor Ingersoll's resignation.
I would move to accept Councilor Ingersoll's resignation.
Here is the motion by Councilor Morse to accept.
Revenue second.
Seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Similar order to the other ones we know about.
Yep.
Business promotion on Facebook page, Councilor Morse.
Mayor, and before we move to that, I had sent you a link earlier today about the Local Governance Act and the possibility of having our quorum reduced. Is there any potential for that? Because we are right at the quorum now. And I didn't know if that was something that we could investigate for however long we're gonna remain sitting here for this term.
Well, our CAO had a conversation.
I talked or they phoned us on Friday, heard about the resignation, and we had a quorum, wanted to make sure we had a quorum, could carry on, and, as long as everybody shows up, that type of thing. And that was the crux of the conversation. There was no, indication that, shrink the council until the next election or whatever. From what you're referring to, couldn't hurt anything at all to ask the minister if you could do a little bit, the quorum thing could be addressed, and it's up to him if he says, no, you're gonna stay, where you're at now, or some limitations on it. I have no idea about it, but, they are aware of where we're at right now.
And just in doing some of the reading, I mean, the minimum quorum has to be 3, which I don't know if maybe that is too small at this point, though it doesn't seem that small now when looking around the table. But even to go to 4 would be a huge help. 3 would be good too, because it's a lot of pressure. If somebody is sick, away, it puts us all in a pretty bad spot. So I would move to approach the Minister of Local Government to see if we can have the quorum number lowered to 3 for the remainder of this term.
This is the way I read this, the thing that you sent to me. We have a quorum.
Yep. We do as it stands right now, but if we, I guess my question would be a procedural one. How do you ask the minister to lower the quorum if you don't have a quorum to ask?
Mr. Mayor, if I may. I will say, the Department of Local Government has been very much on top of, not only our situation, but there's other places as well. For example, Campbellville can't even function. They have a mayor, but no council. And, I brought this up to the minister's EA, Ryan Donahue, and earlier, it was like April, or late April, and anyway, he said he was very aware of the situation. I do know that our local MLA has reached out, I believe it was Councilor Morris, and wanted to make sure how we were doing. On May the 16th, I was in a teleconference with the Minister of Local Government, and I said, Mr. Minister, I said, I do know that you do have to have provincial by-elections before you sit in the House this fall. And I said, and meanwhile this fall, our neighbors to the south are going to be voting on everybody from the dog catcher to the President of the United States of all levels of government on the same day. I said, if they can keep that straight, surely they could have by-elections at the same time for those of us who desperately need them. And he said, Wayne, I agree with you 100% on that. And so 2 weeks ago, I was in another teleconference with the minister and his EA. And his EA spoke up and said, when I brought this issue again, and he said we are working very hard with Elections New Brunswick to remedy this situation for possibly this fall. He says, we in fact, Elections New Brunswick got back with us today and working towards something in that regard. So they're taking this very seriously. The minister also said to me at the time, he says, look, we got a situation, as you know, Campobello right now, so we have to have somebody to look after that municipality. And he says, to be honest with you, we don't want to look after your municipality no more than you want your municipality to be looked after by us. And to be quite frank with you, he said, it's expensive. And when you're talking about remote areas, especially like Campobello and Grand Manan, it's even more expensive. So they're very aware of the situation, and I'm surprised if it isn't remedied before too long.
So you're thinking with by-elections versus full municipal elections? Or?
Well, yes, I mean, it's easier to do, especially in today's situation. I will tell you that Kim Poffenroth, who's the lady who looks after Elections in Brunswick, she has asked, when it was postponed for a year, she said, I would like a minimum of 4 months before we have general municipal elections, because it's a big thing to try to arrange. So, and you know, believe it or not, New Brunswick is ahead of the curve in election technology. It's hard to believe, but in my personal meetings with Kim Poffenroth a few years ago, you know, they're within somebody having a heart attack away of the thing not being able to be accomplished, because it's all run by like a couple dozen people or less. And there's one or two people that look after the machines, you know, like the election machines and such like that. And it's not like you can call on other provinces to look after this technology, because we're kind of well advanced in it compared to others. So anyway, but that was one of my better meetings actually, where I really felt that everybody was being listened to, and everybody was taking suggestions. So anyway.
I guess I still have concerns. If everything goes ahead in the fall, we probably are okay. I'm just worried that if for some reason it doesn't happen in the fall, it's one thing to get through 2 or 3 months. It's another thing to get from July till potentially next May.
Absolutely.
And I guess I still would like to make a motion to approach the minister to see if we can reduce the number for a quorum. I mean, the worst thing is he says no.
Absolutely, yeah.
So.
Heard the motion by Councilor Morse to get a letter out to the minister to see if our quorum could be reduced from 5 to some other number. So that's a motion from Councilor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second you, Mr.
Second
Mayor.
from Councilor Fitzsimmons. Question?
The number was 3.
I did say 3, but
Yes.
I compromised to 4 at this point. I think it's
I think you compromise with whatever the minister's nomination.
pretty much where I am.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, business promotion on Facebook page.
A few weeks ago, I had, I think, circulated an email suggesting that maybe something we could do as a village to promote some of the local businesses we have, particularly this summer with some of the challenges everybody's facing with COVID and the pandemic and that type of thing. Is maybe we share a link to their website or their Facebook page, whichever, just like a standard template with the name of the business, what they do, where they're located, so we're not saying, you know, promoting one restaurant over another or whatever. focused on tourism, I thought especially to start with, but maybe expanding out into some of the other businesses. I'm not sure if anybody would be interested, but I thought it would be worthwhile putting the offer out there to some of the businesses, see if there is some interest in some uptake. You see a lot of other communities doing it, saying this is what we have to offer here, and I think given where we are with the staycations that we're all doing this summer, it might be worthwhile looking at. So, that's a suggestion, and thought I'd bring it
Mr.
here.
Mayor, I will say that I do like this idea of Councilor Morris's, and it's not unheard of. I know the mayor, where I grew up on, and still from when I was a kid, until today, on the radio stations that said, we salute our business of the day. And, of course, everybody has a kick if they can, so, and for things, Facebook and everything, even easier to do it. And cheaper to do it, if I might say so.
So you're looking for a motion? Is that what it is to do? So I would make a motion of the village promote through its Facebook page one business a day in a standardized format.
There's a motion by Councilor Morse, do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Jones. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Update on speed limit request.
See you again. We had made a request back in February, the second one in March, looking at speed limits entering Grand Harbor, both coming from Sioux Cove and coming from Woods Cove. I expect things fell off the rail with the pandemic, but I just wondered if we'd had any update from GTI since we put the request in. And if we haven't, maybe we can follow up just to see where we are.
I inquired about it, there's one person that does it the northern part of the province, and there's one person does it 7, and the queue is quite long, so.
Do they have any sort of timeline, just?
Said it could be as high as 2 years.
Wow.
All right, okay, maybe in a year or so, if we haven't seen them, we can try to remember to talk about it again, but is there any way to speed up the process, I guess maybe is,
I'll make a phone call.
yeah. I mean, years seems, or 2 years seems like a really long time if you've got an issue with.
But I think what you're having, you had 6 or 8 people doing this, and now you're cutting down to 2, is what I was told.
Mr. Mayor, it reminds me of the story of longtime transportation minister Sheldon Lee. When the ferry when our new ferry arrived, I had a chance to chat with him and his wife. And his wife had told me, he said, Councilor Sturgeon, I have been on every highway and byway and cowpath in the province of New Brunswick. Because when Sheldon was transportation minister, somebody would call him up and say, there was some certain situation, road situation, and every Sunday morning Sheldon says, here we're going for a drive. And he would see it personally. And anyway, it's rare to see that kind of dedication.
I'll make a phone inquiry. So, just talking about that, I happened to see a car on the weekend stopped on the side of the road. And the license number that was on it would read Mrs. Portia. So I stopped. The guy said, you noticed the license plate? I said, yeah, I did. He said, this is my wife's car. She's the mayor of Riverview, Ann Seaman. So she speaks up and said, I've never been to Manan before, so I would like to come down and have a look at it. And we had such a good time yesterday, and this morning we decided we'd want to stay another night. But we couldn't get our reservations for another night. So we're leaving on the 3:30. But we will be back.
So accommodations must be busy then, Mr. Mayor, if that's the case.
Whether she might have just inquired where they had been staying, and that was the compass rose.
Yeah, okay.
So, committee reports, Recreation Director. Is there a ball game going tonight?
There is a ball game going, well, there's a softball game going in Grand Harbor.
I see the diamond was tuned up, prettied up.
As always. I had nothing to do with it, but it looked good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to thank the volunteers that we were able to get this year to put the flags up on the poles. I know it was probably a disappointing year as far as the Canada Day events went, but as we've said many times, we talk about it a lot, off and on. At the end of the day, I think we'll all be happy that's the choice that we made, and moving in the future, that people will be glad that's the do tonight. So anyway, here's hoping for next year, bigger and better. Like Deputy Mayor Sturgeon said, you take a year off, they're going to be even more eager come next year. So here's hoping. We've only had a little bit of movement on our Sail Cove playground. It's been quite some time. I think it was January the last time that we spoke with RDC. Of course, with COVID, everything was shut down. I think now everyone's just starting to get back into the office. So RDC reached out last week just to look at the status of the application to see if we were still interested, where the funding was, and so we spoke with them. We actually didn't reapply, we just resubmitted the application with everything that we had, changed the dates. It was submitted this time with the mayor's signature instead of mine. I'm not sure why they thought they had more weight, but anyway, whatever. So one thing that they were missing was some numbers that didn't add up, so we wanted to make sure that everything was in place. The initial application was put in for 2 phases. We were hoping to dig into the pot to get some money for the 2019 fiscal year as well as 2020. Anyway, under the circumstances that didn't happen. So now we're looking at the possibility of getting funded up to 50%. Just spoke with the lady from RDC before I came to the meeting. She was off last week, but the first thing she's going to do that she's in today is get back on the application. Unfortunately, because everything has been shut down and all of a sudden everything's starting to open up again, all the municipalities across the country, delivery time for playground equipment is looking at about 12 weeks. One of the manufacturers did come out with a product or a line that they are looking at pushing out for quick sell, which means that they have got an abundance of this particular unit made for anyone that wants one to get the playground in. But unfortunately, with the design that we were looking at for Sail Cove Beach, because of the location, it doesn't really fit the bill. So I think as long as we get the application, get the funding in place, get everything in, as long as we can get something in before fall, get it in this year, we'll be ahead of the game. The fitness center is open, which is great. That was one of the last things that we had to look at opening up once we get everything in place. It was a hard thing to try for the users to get used to, because they've gone from being able to come and go in the fitness center all hours of the day and night, as they please, many times a day, to having strict rules where they have to call to make an appointment, they have to keep their schedule. They're like 50 minutes to come in to get their workout done. If they come late, they should only give the same amount of time, and the operational hours of 9 to 5. So it's been a bit of an adjustment. It's slowly starting to pick up. People are slowly getting used to the concept of the idea, which is good. Change isn't always easy, especially in smaller communities, but they're slowly starting to get it. But one of the good things is we've received some extra Canada Summer jobs. So we're currently looking for the possibility of hiring a second student, maybe full-time, maybe part-time, depending on what the need is. Amy came up with a poll that she put on the recreation page, just trying to get an idea from users what works best for people. Let's face it, 9 to 5 is probably horrible hours for the majority of the people that work. So anyway, the poll's done. We've got a pretty good idea of what everybody wants. So we're in the process of trying to find someone who can lengthen the hours. Tanisha's in there now. She's doing a fantastic job. The place has never looked better, never been cleaner. And as soon as you walk the door, all you can smell the Mr. Clean. So, and people certainly like that. So, Castalia Ball Field has been scheduled for a while now to get a little bit of a revitalization, and it looks like it's going to be possibly this week. Dutchman's busy right now with the outdoor courts, but the plan is to start moving some of the material up midweek to hopefully start getting things spread next week. I met with Manan Baseball this morning to work on their operational plan. Fortunately, Baseball in Brunswick has a master plan that everyone's kind of taking a little bit from. So we're just like we do for softball, we're just kind of going through, highlighting and picking and choosing what works best for this local group. We're leaving in the most important stuff as far as it comes to safety, and they'll come up with their plan. But going back, looking through some of my pictures, it's 5 years on July 28th, the last time ball was played in Castalia. So right now, as everything goes according to plan, we get everything moved up there this week, we get everything done, they're looking at playing their first game next Thursday. So here's hoping. Softball's doing great in the harbor, they're playing 4 nights a week. The main reason for that was because we were reduced to 50 people, was the amount of people, the maximum we were allowed at the facility at one time. Since then, it's been extended, there's no cap anymore, as long as you can maintain your physical distance. So we went back to softball to see if they looked at wanting to go back to the double headers. They said as long as it works for us, as long as minor ball gets their opportunities to play in the other fields, they're great with it. Everything's going well, but I will say about 5 weeks in, always remember that now that we have new welcomed people coming to the island for the summer, it's great that they're here, and this is no time to start relaxing on the rules. Outdoor courts. Everything started up again. Dutchman was there last week. They got the rest of the crushed stuff on top. They finished their 1% grade on the material. They were there again this morning. Everything is done. Alan wanted, before he went into the paving season, he wanted to make sure the equipment worked. So he went and did a small job last week just to make sure everything was working properly before they ended up doing the bigger job. So as of right now, pavement's supposed to be on the first boat in the morning. The plan is to do the pickleball side first because it's larger. And then on Wednesday, they're going to finish up with the basketball side. It'll be 2 pieces. There'll be a seam down the middle, but fortunately there'll be a fence running down the middle as well, so you won't be able to see the seam. Plus there's 4 layers of the plexi coating that's supposed to go on. 2 of a sealer and 1 that gives us our color, so you won't be able to see it. So that'll be great. Speaking with Dave Stevens today, it looks like the fencing people are scheduled for the next couple of weeks after the paving is done, as well as the resurfacers or the surfacing people are scheduled shortly after that. A little bit of a hiccup with that one today, but we're slowly working through that. The show hall's up and going. We went up in the last week, put the nest back up. We intended to give a little bit of a spruce up with some painting with some lines, but I had the little paint cart that we have for doing the lines here in the parking lot. I gave up in a very short period of time, so I didn't want to make a mess. But I think Rob's been talking to the new owners of the North Head Hall. It sounds like they want to work together to try to revitalize that a little bit and work together to make it really look good. It's nice to see the kids have been out, drive by there almost any day and night. There's a few kids out there playing, which is good to see. Rec has been looking after the garbage the last few weeks just until a tender comes forward. It's been back and forth a little bit. I think tonight, hopefully there'll be some in place. Their new receptacles are fantastic. They're great. They're more appealing than the garbage cans. They do a better job of keeping the garbage in the garbage cans. You don't have the wind blowing the bags, so you don't have the birds and everything, which is nice, except for the people that go and throw their household garbage in the bag beside it. It's left there, and then all of a sudden the birds, the crows, the coons, everything coming looking for a free meal, tears the bag apart, and then you're left with the same mess. Councillor Cheney sent me a picture last week of having head at the lighthouse, and it looked like an atom bomb went off in the garbage can. The garbage was everywhere. We thought we stopped that because the size of the hole in the container, of course, is small, so you can't shove that bag through, but apparently you just put it aside. So just a reminder for people that those bins are there for the proper garbage to put in, that you collect along the way, not for garbage. So everything, all the facilities are now up and going except for the arena. The arena is the last thing that we have got to come up with an operational plan for. It's going to be the toughest, working with FRPA, which is all the records in the Southern Brunswick portion. We're all going to work together because we're all in the same boat, as we have been along with all these different facilities to work with coming up with plans for our arenas, where each individual plan will be unique, and so we'll have to make it our own once we get the master copy done. But it's certainly gonna be doable. There's no question that in the fall, the arena operation will certainly look different. And at this point, we have no idea what that's gonna be. Bearing a huge catastrophe where a bunch of cases pop up, and there's no question there will be ice. It's just a matter of what the user in the game format's gonna look like, so. Anyway, that's all I have. I think that was the longest part of the whole agenda.
Yeah,
That's about it.
probably you should get a stipend for being there.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Recreation Director. You said, fitness center's back up and running, and 9 to 5, I believe you said,
Yes.
by appointment only?
By appointment only. Amy set up an email address for the fitness center, as well as Tanisha's in my office, who has a direct line of 7055. So you can either email Tanisha or call that number, or you can call here and the girls can transfer or whatever's easiest. Tanisha has an appointment book out there, so if, let's say, Wayne, you and Ava want to come and work out, you say, no, we'd like to have, every Tuesday morning from 10 to 11, is it available? Tanisha puts you in the book, and you're good to go. And what she does is, if her appointment's at 10 o'clock, the way it works is you come to the facility, you stay in your car until Tanisha comes out, or whoever the attendant might be at the time comes out, and beckons you in. When you get to the door, she's going to ask you the regular COVID questions, cough, fever, runny nose, purple toes, all that good stuff. And if not, you continue in. All the pieces of equipment have tape on them, just a little tiny piece of painter's tape. So if you win, you go and use the rower, the weights and the bike, you just tear a little piece of tape off. So when your 50 minutes is up, Tanisha will go in and look to see what piece of equipment don't have the tape on it. She goes and wipes down those pieces and waits for the next user. That way there, she's not going in and wiping and repeatedly wiping down stuff that didn't get used. So,
Thank you, I was gonna ask you how to go about that, making the appointment, so that's good.
yep, so they get an hour, it's an hour block, they get 50 minutes to do their workout, which allows for 10 minutes to do the cleaning, get set up for the next user. The washrooms are off limits, we have some tape up, so when you come through, you can't get past the rug or the carpet. We directed right into the fitness center. Washrooms are off limits because that's a shared space with the Boys and Girls Club. We wanted to make sure the facility was completely clean and disinfected for those users next door. So we just are telling people that bring your own water, no facilities are open, to plan accordingly. Now, of course, if there's an emergency, we'll have to deal with it at the time. But
Okay, good.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chris.
thank you.
Approval to pay the following invoices. Brunswick Engineering, $5,031.25, airport extension application, general operating.
I would move to pay the aforementioned invoice from the general operating fund.
You heard the motion by Councilor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Cheney. Question?
What's this for exactly?
The application for the airport
Okay.
expansion.
So this goes along with our,
When we asked for the extension, there's an application had to be sent to the federal government. And they looked at it.
okay. Is this up there?
Lots of technical
I'm sure.
questions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 14 is closed session, 14.1 is financial with trash bin tender, and 14.2 is personnel, planning advisory committee.
I would move we adjourn to closed session.
We have a motion by Councilor Morse, we go into closed session. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Sturgeon. Question? Regular council meeting is here at the Manan Community Center, August the 10th, 2020, at 7:30 p.m. Is there anything else that we'd like to add before the magic words?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion by Councilor Morse to adjourn. Do we have a second? Seconded by Deputy Mayor. This is very hard to forget the names.